What's going on, everyone? This is your boy AshTheMan, and thank you so much for tuning in. So I am here to talk to you about ID Invaded. Now, ID Invaded premiered January 5th of 2020, in which the studio that is responsible for the anime is Nas. For what I looked up, because I never heard of the studio, but apparently the studio was founded in 2013. So the studio only been around for 7 years. You know, that's pretty young for an anime studio, not even gonna lie. But nevertheless, this anime focuses around Sakaido. Pretty much, he's a genius detective that dives into this world, which he solves cases by tapping into the killer's unconscious mind for them gathering the psyche that they leaves on the scene of any killing or mystery that is going about. Now, this anime is definitely, the concept of it is kind of crazy, because when you dive into this world, you pretty much have to find a puzzle, find the source or the reason for this person killing, to try to give the location of them, to try to save the victims or further the victims, to be exact, because of course with a crime commit, you can't really pin a crime on somebody if they haven't committed. But however, they use this system in the killer's unconscious mind to solve these puzzles. Now, the one thing that does make this anime kind of crazy and kind of really adds a deeper feeling to it is that Sakaido, the main protagonist, both him and both his wife and his daughter was both murdered. And I guess the serial killer was never identified, but they let it go on into graphically of how his daughter was murdered. Pretty much, I guess there was like several bones that was broken. Her internal organs was pretty much like damaged beyond belief, and her hair was cracked on it. The way he go and describe it was kind of crazy, but nevertheless, all these puzzles kind of focus and lurks on this person named John Walker. They don't really show much of a face or a body figure, but for some reason, like, all these cases does leave a hint on John Walker. And not just only that, each time that he dives into this world, he always see a dead body of his daughter. Now, it's not really much shown about his wife, but nevertheless, it seems like she may have took suicide, but I haven't got that information yet. But I'm thinking that in one world that he visited, that she hung herself, which I'm not sure. But nevertheless, when they go to investigate these crime scenes, and basically Sakaido dive into this world, he has a team, which is the organization of Kira, that kind of orchestrates how this investigation is going to go. Sakaido dives in. There's about 6 individuals that monitors him in his world, because once he brings something to light, they had to investigate the clues that he leave. In a way that goes about is that when he goes into there, of course, he sees his daughter, and he remembers his name and say he's a brilliant detective. Now, in this thing, he doesn't retain none of his memories from the real world. And I guess what they explain later on in future episodes is that it's so that they don't dive into their own, unconscious mind, because that's a prohibited when using the ID well. Now, going forward, instead of giving direct answers as far as when they dive into this world and dive into somebody unconscious, they have to put puzzles or solve the mystery that's going on in the world to kind of help them dictate or where to find this person's psyche the strongest, because their psyche is literally linked to locate where they may be at in the real world, or figure out exactly what his motive to kind of corner the murderer or the perpetrator. But however, when they do so, it's just really crazy. Like, for instance, the first mystery, this guy was literally drilling holes in people's head to the side, not directly in the middle, but it's just so that I guess he wants them to see things a lot clearer. Kind of crazy, but he does to them what he did to himself, because he drilled a hole in his whole head. Crazy as shit. But Nevertheless, the world that his unconscious mind had is that it had this like very distorted city, and Sakaido pretty much had to put it together, make room. He ended up finding this house where each other person that was in this house was a potential victim or already been dead. So it's just kind of crazy. His psychic mind did that. Now, he ended up seeing a version of John Walker in there, but the most things is that when he started piecing stuff together, it kind of like brings up the psyche to a point to where they're able to put the puzzles together and to end up like trying to locate certain things, because even though that they have to put the puzzle together, it leaves clues into how to find a person, which is very interesting. Just like in this other world, like they own this tower and different people is getting sniped. They can't figure out the position of the sniper because of the waterfall and the sunlight. But however, the whole thing to this particular puzzle is that everybody that's involved in this used to be part of an army, and I guess they was victims of this terrible bombing. Now the guy that's behind this was a photographer who used to take pictures of the aftermath of the war, and the way that they had to solve this is that everybody pretty much had to keep on biting the dust until he found out the person who was leading on the sniper for sniping their heads. But also the reason that how they found out that all these victims was people who served in armies, that when they fell and actually did a suicide to the ground, they noticed that their bodies wasn't matching up to different body parts. Like their head would be on a different body, and once they start piecing it together, that's where they found them out. Now, in the real world, this guy was a bomber who bombed this one place, and I think he did several bombs. But however, they used whatever was going on in this ID well to kind of like solve what was going on. Now, this is another thing too that really takes it on, because I did mention that Sakaido family was murdered. Now to me, that's a mystery in itself. Like, why did his family get murdered? Why did they never catch it? But then they throw this name John Walker into there, so I'm thinking that maybe John Walker is the one that's behind the murder. But nevertheless, when he talks to the second perpetrator and he pretty much just goes on about like what's the real reason why he was killing, the guy ended up taking his life during the night. And apparently, if you watch like the second episode, Sakaido is known for kind of like psychologically messing with the perpetrators once they is incarceration, because he is incarceration himself. And I guess there was like 5 others who took their life also after he pretty much interrogated him, because that's what happened. He interrogated him about what's his motives and the reason why. And I guess maybe it's due to him being bitter about his family death, but he really doesn't show too much emotions up until when the second perpetrator mentioned that his daughter, her life was meaningless because she died. So you see him twitched a little bit, but he really starts going in afterwards, and you just notice that like they just clipped in scenes for it. So overall, with me explaining how the anime is and everything, the anime is really good. I mean, details, graphic wise, it's good. I'm not gonna hold it. The music is okay. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but I'm not gonna say it's the greatest. The art style is alright. I don't see any bad like lightning or anything like that. But to me, this anime is definitely driven more on the story and the mysteries that lead into every murder, and then the mysteries that lead to Sakaido being a brilliant detective who family was murdered, both his wife and his daughter, and that's a mystery in itself. So if you have to give my honest opinion, give this a watch, man. I mean, 2020 is definitely starting off with a very interesting anime. The concept is crazy. So I know you can watch it on Funimation, and if you don't choose to want to have Funimation, you could definitely watch it on YouTube. But other than that, I give my thumbs up for it. I'm gonna like it, and at the episode 3, I definitely will be hitting this with my weekly reviews. So other than that, I just want to thank you guys for definitely tuning in. Definitely hit the subscribe button, notification button, and leave a comment below. If you haven't seen it, if you have any questions about it, let me know. Or if you did, let me know some things in the comment below. But other than that, AshTheMan is out. Peace.